entertaining. Thank you. So it should be entertaining, and he's going to speak on the rise of Joseph Stalin. It should be interesting. Go ahead. Next week, we had one of our scheduled live speakers is going to speak to us. He's the Reverend Mark Lingle is the chairman of the head of the Coalition of Religious in Stamford, and he's from St. Francis Episcopal Church. He's the pastor up there, and he's got his thoughts on life after reopening of the coronavirus. And Tara Thompson is an attorney and putting meaning behind the Bill of Rights, civil rights litigation in the United States. These were both scheduled speakers, so glad that they were able to join us on Zoom. They're going to be live on Zoom. And thanks to Bill Schechter for making the contact with these two individuals. So we're moving, I have, next week, I have a meeting, going to be a Zoom meeting with the senior men's groups from Lower Fairfield County with our speaker exchange. So we might be getting some leads on other speakers. So despite the corona virus, things are still continuing the way they should be. So we're doing well, and let's hope that it's behind us, but I don't think it's going to be behind us for any time in the near future, unfortunately. Okay, brings up our secretary, Ira.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, great.
Everybody, I assume, received the minutes from last week, and you all got a copy of the slides, which also you can refer to. So, for example, this week I'm not going to reproduce everything Joe sent out on beach permits. It'll be indicated, but look at your slides for details. Are there any corrections or additions to last week's minutes? If not, attendance. We had very good attendance, 70 people. And then Carl Rosen was a guest of Larry Holzman's last week. Any, let's do it this way. As we have, Joe, will you cast one vote for the whole group for approval?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Okay, just another thing too, the slides and the meetings themselves are online. Again, John was able to, John Cullen was able to catch one of the meetings after the fact. So they are also online, and thanks to Steve for doing that. Okay, brings up Larry Holzman. Larry?
Okay.
The floor is yours. I think got a few things to comment on.
Right. Okay. Following postponement until further notice, the SMAS Day of Service. Obviously, when it's rescheduled, there'll be a lot of things that need to be done. Canceled was the spring golf outing, and that will be redone in the fall. So there'll be a fall golf outing. The golf, for those interested, the golf course is open. They require you to wear a mask at the check-in gate and in the parking lot, etc. But once you're on the course, you do not have to wear it. And for those riding, it's single carts only, and social distancing is maintained. And from my experience, it was very easy to do. So if those interested in golf, you can play, and I think it is, in my opinion, safe. Postponed until the fall is the tennis tournament. Next slide, please. We'll put the date in afterward because Wednesday, June 24th, we still have the spring luncheon scheduled. I'll be contacting Rock Rimmon and shortly to see what their opinion is, and obviously it will depend on what the government regulation and advice is with regard to meetings where attendance is more than 10 people, so, or 50 people, etc. So that'll be that. The fishing trip, I had a communication with Bill McGurr, who is informing me. I don't think Bill is on today. Are you, Bill? No. But I did see Morty on here, so I'll let Morty speak to it. But I believe the captain of the boat is not accepting any reservations until he is informed that certain regulations have been lifted. Morty, I'd like you to speak on it. If you can unmute yourself. Can anybody communicate to Morty?
Morty's unmuted.
I didn't see his picture, but I saw his name.
Yeah. He's unmuted.
Hi,
You're unmuted, Morty.
here I am.
Okay.
Speak to us, Morty.
Speak.
I don't know why I can't speak to you.
Now you are.
We
You
hear
hear
you.
you.
You see my good-looking face?
Oh, you're
Yes.
handsome as ever.
All right, I wish I had a goatee like that, Joe. I don't have a report yet. I will be getting one for next week.
Okay. Bill McGurr, I think, has talked to the captain. I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, but he's not taking reservations until he has clearance from the state and as to what he's allowed to do.
Right.
You can check with
So I don't know.
Bill and the captain and give us an update next week if you would.
Okay, very good. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you very much. I didn't get slides last week, by the way. It was not mailed to me. If you could convey that to
Okay.
whoever, is it Steve Fisher, or who sends the slides out?
Okay, next slide, please. Annual picnic, September 17th is still on. You have anything to comment on, Stu?
No, I did get one additional member, Mark Funt. That's good. So we pretty much have 11 or 12 guys on the committee. If anyone's interested still, please, contact me. But right now we're on schedule.
Okay, next slide, please. Monday, October 5th, we have scheduled a fall golf outing. And hopefully by then, situations will return to some state of normalcy. Brian, Howie, you guys have anything to say about this?
Larry,
Yeah,
I believe you were talking about playing golf before. Don't you have to have reserved the time before you can play golf, and you have to show
yes,
up?
you have to reserve it online. You cannot just walk up to the window and get a time.
And you can only show up like 15 minutes before you play.
Correct. The all this information is on the golf course website.
Talk to them.
Fair enough.
Okay. Next slide. Tennis tournament is scheduled for Monday, October 12th. Larry Berger's in charge. Target sign up will be in September, which hopefully we will be physically all together back at the church again. But obviously it's wait and see. Next slide. Okay. Carl, you're up, but I do have a question before I sign off. I see Carl Rosen is on. And how do you get the registration booklet so Carl can join to him? So if you can answer that question, Carl, and then you can have the slide.
Good morning. In fact, I've already sent Carl Rosen the information as well as an application form, and we're hoping we hear from him soon about that. Total membership.
This is the other Carl. I have the form filled out. I just don't know what to do with it.
You can scan, if you can scan it and email it to me.
Just give me an email.
It's on the slide. Do you have a copy of the slides? Anyway, it's my last name, Funch.
Yep.
Initials CW.
Yep.
At gmail.com.
Okay.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, total membership remains 243. Until I receive Carl's application, we have 220 new members. Excuse me, 4 new members in 2020. And on the subject of membership, on behalf of myself and the recruitment director, that I want to remind everybody that how important new members are to sustaining SMAS. Each year, we have approximately 20 people drop out for various reasons, relocation or illness, or unfortunately, even cases of death. And we've only been able to maintain a stable level of membership because of the addition of many new members each year. Going back over the past 3 years, we've had between 24 and 32 new members each year. And at this time, by this time in those past years, you can see that we've had more members. We have 4 now, and in the past we've had from between 7, 8, and 10. Which is understandable. I mean, the disruption of our in-person programs, which are the main mechanism through which we acquaint ourselves with people and introduce ourselves to people, and people meet our members and are encouraged to join, have been suspended. And our activities, which are the substantial reason for people joining, have been suspended. So it's understandable that new membership is down, but we must take steps to remedy that situation. So the board has discussed these things online, and what we're proposing as a board is that in order to encourage new membership during the COVID isolation period, that we suspend the bylaw relating to dues, so that new members can join during the next 2 months without paying dues. And we have no activities, we have no expenses as far as membership meetings are concerned. And if we resume activities in full, we'll go back to the regular policy of dues. But it seems like a nice thing, a logical thing to do, to suspend the dues during this isolation period while physical meetings are suspended. So we believe it's necessary in order to assist recruiting. Of course, there's no guarantees, but we think it's worth doing. And this proposal will be put to a vote of the membership at the Zoom meeting next week on May 14th. It'll be a similar procedure where we'll have a show of hands, and the vote will be recorded and voted by Joe Andriano. Are there any questions for me or for John or Joe or anyone else on the board?
Just a comment, since there's no question, a comment I have. Somebody just signed on as iPad 4. What I'm going to ask now, because of the stories that we hear about people hacking into Zoom meetings, whoever's iPad 4, I believe you can go up to your picture that says iPad 4 and what is it, Steve, right click on it or click on it and it'll give you the ability to put your name in. So yeah, so who's on iPad 4?
If the person right clicks on their picture, they can click more and then do rename.
Yeah. Okay, well, iPad 4, there's no microphone on iPad 4, so I don't know what's going on. But I say we're going to try, to limit on yourself. If you don't identify yourself, I think we should, not take a chance of getting hacked in. But I know I've seen iPad 4 come up before, and there's a video of iPad 4, but I don't see who he is. Anyway, next slide. All right,
Yeah.
Stu, you're on.
Yeah, carrying on from what Carl was saying, as you guys know, the main source of recruiting is really you guys, because you know people, you have relatives, and so you know people personally. So the action item, if you could do it, think of today, people you know, give them a call today and tell them about us. Tell them about the things that are important to you. Might be the presentations, the special interest groups at 920, trips and tours, book clubs, whatever turns you on in terms of SMAS. Tell them, get excited about it, and send them a copy of the invitation for next week's meeting. Tell Steve, tell Joe, and have them step in and listen to what we actually have going on. Because even these online meetings are extremely fun to do for me and interesting. And so we're keeping ourselves alive and convey that enthusiasm to your friends. So call someone today. Thanks.
Phil, you're on.
Thank you. It's good to see you all. Keep up the good work. Does anybody have any information respecting privacy, but any information regarding members of the group? As you can see, the one posted, Bernie has been in.
Hi, this is Jerry Kranz. Phil,
Yeah.
I'm reporting on a couple of problems.
Yes.
Warren Hayes is still in Stamford Hospital. It's not a COVID situation, but he did undergo an operation. And unfortunately, it looks like he may have had a minor stroke. I spoke with his wife, Ann, this morning. They're preparing one of these stair things to go on the stairs for when he gets home. But they don't have a date for him getting home as of right now. Also, I have not been able to update this, but as of the end of last week, Arthur Mostel is in Stamford Hospital with COVID and possibly with pneumonia. I've been trying to get an update this morning, but as of right this moment, I don't have an update. His fiancée, Janet, is restricted to Atria. The last I heard, she is not in the hospital, but has COVID also and is restricted at Atria. I'll keep you up to date as I get information. Both of these are members of the Songsters, and we do keep in touch with each other.
I spoke to Jack Austin yesterday. He called me, and he is also in Stamford Hospital. He's got gallbladder issues, and I guess he has slight infection. He was in the hospital for 5 days. They released him, and he was still in discomfort and had issues. Went back in a couple of days ago, and they're planning on removing his gallbladder on tomorrow. So let's wish Jack well too. He's had some issues, coronary, related issues, and right now he's battling this, and they're concerned because any infection would affect the valve that was work that was done the end of last year. On another note, my wife's mother passed away on Monday from complications due to COVID, and 98 and 10 months, 9 months of age. So she lived a good life, and she just wasn't strong enough to fight it. But that's all I have. Anybody else have any?
I managed to, at Joe's suggestion, I managed to reach Stanley Pelter, who, as most of you know, is now 100 years old. And he was very interested in what was going on. Of course, you know how much he appreciates Larry Price, and he was sorry to miss the meeting, but his computer is broken. It occurred to me, though, that he could probably join us by phone and listen in. I just thought of that today. Debbie Stofayer, who is the woman who greets us at the Fish Church when we're there, sends her warmest best wishes to you all. We miss her. She misses us. Hopefully someday we'll return. And does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Yes, please go ahead. Please say who you are.
Bernie Teig and I have been texting back and forth. He has now been transferred to a rehab home, rehab facility upstate. So he is on the heading on the upside.
Good, good.
Who's that, Howie?
Bernie Teig, you have a slide up in front of you?
Yep.
Okay. I've been texting with him, and he is on the upside. He's been transferred upstate to Gaylord.
Thank you.
You're
Dick
welcome.
Fisher?
I was just going to repeat that I heard the same news.
Okay.
And as you can probably see, Manny Birnbaum is no longer iPad 41.
Thank you, Manny.
Say, guys, this is Carl. I have a question on
Yes.
As far as our fellowship news is concerned. What do you guys think about my putting down the information like about Arthur Mostel with the COVID-19? Is that appropriate for contact purposes, or is it inappropriate for privacy reasons?
Good question.
Yeah, good question.
I think it's up to the individual and the family, and that's a good point under HIPAA. But if you contact the family and ask them whether it can be mentioned at senior men, that would be sufficient.
My thought on it is if we just state that the person is in the hospital. I mean, like when I talked to Jack, I said, can I, Orson, can I tell everybody what the problem is? And he says, yes. So I have no issues there. But I mean, even if we put they're in the hospital, or send.
I think Dick's suggestion is a good one. You contact the family. They may not want it publicized within the group. You never know.
Yeah, we have that HIPAA Okay. Good point, Carl. So let's just continue doing, if somebody gives us permission to mention it or state it, then we will. And you need permission to put it on. Okay. Al Purdy?
Hi, I have some good news. Wife Lorna, who is a women's health nurse practitioner, she was tested last week at Stamford Hospital and received a negative test. So she has begun, after a month of hiatus, seeing patients again who need breastfeeding help in their homes or in her home office.
Okay. Thank you, Al.
By the way,
That's great news to hear.
There was no line at Stamford Hospital when we took her in at 10 a.m. There was one person in front of us. The test took about 5 minutes, and she got the results the very next day by a phone. And our physician contacted her with a written result 3 days later. So it was very quick.
That's great. Thank you, Al. Okay, moving on. Dick Harper.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I've been changing the date of our next meeting. So it's now firmly on June 3rd at 1:30, and I'm sure it's going to be on Zoom. And the name and the author on the slide are correct. And as I've said before, anybody who has other suggestions to add to our list for the next book, I'm open to them at richardharper@optonline.net. And this book, Code Girls, is an interesting, fairly quick read, and its paperback helps a little bit. So that's it.
Can I add something, Dick?
Yes.
If you contact the Ferguson Library, if you're a member of Ferguson, they will actually send the book to you via the mail. We have received books from the Ferguson Library. They do have Code Girls there, and they will send the book to you if you're a member.
Larry, for that. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Okay, I think we've had a lot of discussions, so I want to, okay, we'll just take
Joe, can I ask
Larry.
a question?
Yeah.
Joe, I'd like to ask a question. Yeah, hello. I have a problem. Maybe other people have an answer. I've been backing up on cans and bottles. These are refundable bottles. I tend to think that those machines where you return this stuff, even in the best of times, are pretty dirty and poorly maintained. The question is, what do you do with all these bottles and cans right now?
Okay, one suggestion, what I'm doing is putting them in my garage, and I'm running out of space there. The next step is putting it into the blue bin and forgetting about the nickel deposit and just get them out of the house.
Right.
But other than that, I'm not going to go to the machine myself. So I'm like 2 weeks maybe from putting them into the blue bin. So that's the only thing I would think there's, or I mean, I don't know. The other thing you might do is leave them in the bag, put them out by the bin. If the collector who's picking up your recyclables, I mean, if they want to make $3 a bag, all the well for that, best for them. But other than that, I mean, I personally wouldn't take a chance, and I'm not taking a chance on going to the bins.
All the stores.
Larry Holtzman.
Yes, I just want to mention, now that we have about 60 guys on, the 9 o'clock or 9:20 discussion group this morning was very, very lively, and I want to thank Art for leading it. I'd like for somebody to step up and say they want to do a discussion group next week, 9 o'clock. Joe D., you have first choice if you want to lead it. But anybody else want to lead one, you pick the topic, and it could be general, it could be specific, but just email me. And if Joe wants to do it next week, then whoever else wants in, I will schedule them for the week after. So step up, guys. It's been fun. And of you 65 guys who are on now, 30 some odd of you missed a very, very interesting discussion. So,
Thanks, Larry.
This is Chrissy Harden. Oh, I have the answer to the cans and bottles if anybody's interested. The cans and bottles are going to resume on a limited basis on May 20th, full resumption of operations by June 3rd. This was on the Stamford patch information that came today. So I guess if you guys are willing to hold it for another couple of weeks, it'll be, you'll be able to do it. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Next slide.
Joe, I had my hand up. This is Bob
Oh,
Luke.
Ira. Okay, I'm sorry.
What I was going to say was just said by Mrs. Harden.
Okay. Still, you got to go and put them in the machines.
Joe, it's Bob Loop. Did you see my hand up?
No, it's not up.
I
Yeah,
saw it up.
I put it up.
It's not
Anyway,
up.
I
Okay.
wanted to see, I know Mark Klein was on before, see whether he's been in contact with the food bank of Lower Fairfield County. There hasn't been much around, knowledge around about that. You know, my wife and I regularly have, over the last few months, have been doing, sending some cash to them. They always want cash more than they want goods, because they can buy a lot more goods with the cash than what they get with the goods. But I'm not sure if Mort, if he's been in contact with them. How are they doing? I know when you look at the news, you see these long lines in other places for people at food banks. And I would encourage us to get on their site and do a cash donation to them, because I'm sure they need it. But I don't know, Mort, have you been in touch with them? Mort. Is Mort still on?
Bob, this is Stu. I would also put a pitch in for the New Covenant Center. They feed a lot of people every day. They could also use help with cash too.
Yes, I think those places, because right now, you know, people have tough time getting to the store to get goods for themselves. So to deliver or to have the food bank or New Covenant House come and pick it up at your house is a dilemma. Cash is the answer, I think, and then they can do what they need to do in order to get the goods. But unless Mort has more information, I would suggest that our membership take some initiative and do that.
To amplify what Bob Loop was saying, this is Carl. New Covenant Center, I've gone down to the food bank to pick food up for the New Covenant Center. And what the places like the New Covenant Center are charged is much, much less than the price we would pay at the store. So don't hesitate at all to give them the cash. They can make good use of it.
How about if we take the time and send us the addresses in the minutes, perhaps?
Or you could just go online. You could just go online to the food bank of or New Covenant House, and they usually have a place where you can donate there. Otherwise, you can look up the address yourself, I'm sure.
I think it's
All
174.
right, guys,
Richmond Road.
I want to jump in. Let's, you know, you can find the information. If you want to donate to any of these groups, please do. Let's move on with the meeting. And, you know,
I would say if Carl wants to put something on a slide for next week, that's probably an additional thing.
why don't you email Carl what you want to put on the slide, and he'll get it on for you, Bob. right. Thanks to Dick Fisher. He's got some suggestions.
Joe, one more thing. This is Bob Luke. My wife just came downstairs. She said she spoke to the gal down at the food bank, and she said they really need cash. Then they can buy what they really need. So that's coming right from. I think her last name is Lombardo.
Kate Lombardo.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So why don't you just send the information to Carl, and he'll get it on the slide. That's the best way. All right. So thanks to Dick, and I'm just gonna. It's on the screen. Bakutsi Park, Kosciuszko Park, Harborside along the harbor. Darien, the 2 walks in the woods, Selleck Woods off Old Kings Highway North. And you need masks for these because the trails are not wide and there are mayflies, so you don't want to eat the flies. But there's plenty of spaces in, even Scalzi and Cummings parks and stuff. So moving on. I don't think we have, it's 10:53. We'll hold off on Dick Fisher. We'll give you one joke since you were good enough to put the slides up.
I just wanted to mention that the parks like Binney Park in Greenwich and Bruce Park, the looks are open as of last Sunday. Parking, it's crazy because the parking spaces there are not open, but you can park along some of the roads. The cops don't seem to be bothering you, but just wanted to add that.
Okay, thanks. All right, one quick joke from Alan, and then we'll start with our speaker.
Before you do a joke, I just looked on Google for the food bank of Lower Fairfield County. It's 461 Glenbrook Road, Stamford, Connecticut, 06906. And they have a website out there, so which makes it easy.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, I'm set.
All right, Alan Jaffe, go ahead.
Jaffe told jokes and so does.
Do you know, oh, I hear somebody speaking.
No, go ahead, Alan.
Do you know the favorite restaurant of people with one leg? IHOP, of course. And then another quick one. Everybody knows about the shortage of toilet paper, but I hope the problem will be soon behind us.
With that, end the meeting, and we'll move into our guest. Mark Albertson needs no introduction, but he's a historical research editor, Army Aviation Magazine in Monroe, has spoken to us now a number of times. He's authored several books, is an avid speaker. He travels Connecticut and New York State lecturing on issues of history, politics, current events. And I believe he's also an instructor or teacher up at Norwalk Community College. So let's run the video. Thank you guys for coming to our meeting, and please stay and listen to Mark. He's usually very interesting.
Give me a chance here.
Our speaker today is Mark Albertson, who is standing to my left right now. Mark is an adjunct professor at Norwalk Community College and the author of several books on 20th century history. Some of you have already heard Mark speak at not only the RMA, but other venues around. He's always highly entertaining and informative.